More news coming out of McKinney, Texas. First of all, the officer involved there, case bolt breaking right now as we are live on the air, apparently has resigned. Two different sources saying that he has resigned. That is welcome news for anyone who is rational, but there are many people who are not. So right after this incident occurred, you could have guessed, if you were paying attention to American news, what would happen next, which is that Fox News and some others would rally to the defense of the officer. I mean, you're throwing around black kids at a pool party, they're teenagers, you're slamming them to the ground, you're pulling your gun on them. Well, of course the conservatives in America are going to stick up for you, including some people in the community. So let's get started. Here's Megyn Kelly talking about this issue.
He certainly did not have control of her. It looked kind of bad the way he was attempting to get her on the ground.
Mm-hmm. And you find, I mean, I'm sure he didn't know she was 14 at the time. Maybe he did. We can't assume it. But now we know, and she looked like a young woman.
And you hear the girl in the video saying, "Call my mother, please, call my mother," because she understands what's getting ready, what could possibly happen to her.
The girl was no saint either. He had told her to leave, and she continued to linger. And, you know, when the cop tells you to leave, get out.
She's no saint either. I mean, she's a teenager. She's in a bikini. God knows what she could be hiding in there. And she did, of course, the gravest crime in America, which is to perhaps, in the perception of that officer, slightly disrespect her. Now, is the officer busy trying to figure out who was in the fight? No, they just came in literally barreling or barrel rolling into the scene, and there was no effort to figure out, wait, who was in the fight? Who was in the fight? No, they just go, boom, go and target all the black kids. The white kid who recorded all this, he's going to weigh in on this in a little bit, and he has a really interesting perspective. But no, you can't be innocent enough in America if you're a black person. Because Fox News says there's no saint. There's no saint. Why? I mean, with Trayvon Martin, I'll tell you, he once smoked pot. You got him. He deserved to be shot in the chest, right? And now they can't call her a thug. She's just a 14-year-old at a pool party. No saint. Why? Why is she no saint? No, it's standing around. Even Mark Furman, the notoriously racist cop that Fox News actually uses as an expert. Isn't that amazing? He's the guy from the O.J. Simpson trial. Who has that enormous racial history. Expert on Fox News. Even he's like, well, that looked really bad, Megyn. Megyn's like, 50-50. The only guy talking sense there is Richard Fowler, who is, of course, part of the TYT network. Okay, now, Sean Hannity is going to find 1,000 other excuses on his radio program.
There was a huge disturbance, and juveniles were fighting, and then they refused to listen to the police officers and then leave. And at one point, the officer, getting very stern, he used curse words. What do you want him to do? The kids aren't listening to them. Anyway, he tries to round them up. Things escalate. He pulled out his gun. Anyway, that led to an incident with a girl that happened to be, that he had to put his knee on her back. You're never going to see an arrest that looks good on video, especially an arrest that is being resisted or people that are not listening when police officers are saying, leave now, leave now. Doesn't a cop have a lot more to think about than just that girl, especially after people the cops repeatedly asked these kids that weren't invited to the party to leave? In other words, while he is working on trying to get this girl under control, is there not a risk to the officer that someone can come up behind him? And I don't know what happened. You don't know what happened. All we know is that you can hear the chaos and see the chaos. Obviously, there's no respect being shown the officers. Now, back when I was a kid, we had our little run-ins, and we knew the cops by name in our neighborhood, and the cops said to disperse, you dispersed. I mean, now we're watching people say, no, we're not leaving. I mean, it now compounds the problem. It makes their job 10 times more difficult. It makes their decision that much more clouded because they don't know if those same kids that won't respect them and take their orders to leave, are they going to come in and hit them with a shank in the back as they're arresting somebody?
A shank in the back. First of all, you don't hit someone with a shank. Okay, you stab them with a shank. Okay, I'm glad to know that Hannity is not well versed in prison culture. Okay, but it doesn't matter how innocent you are. It doesn't matter if you're a teenager at a pool party. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you're in a bowling alley. It doesn't matter if you're walking in the street, you're driving your car. It doesn't matter. If you're black, you might be hiding a shank somewhere, right? And look, the video seems as clear as day, right? We showed it to you yesterday. You've seen it all over the web. No. when it's clear against the white officer, what does Hannity say? Well, it's clouded. Nobody can tell. There's no way of knowing. If he's got any kind of evidence on his side, it's definitive. We got it. No, it's right there. You can see it on the tape. In this case, well, does seem to be slamming the girl onto the ground and pulling his gun on people and stuff. Anyway, if the facts are not on your side, you just keep saying anyway, and no one knows. No one knows because we're all blind. We can't see it. But finally, the part that really got me about Hannity was, well, if the officers tell you to leave, just leave. It's that simple. How dare you disrespect commands from an officer? Said the guy who had Cliven Bundy on his show and supported him endlessly, as not only Bundy, but all his supporters on that ranch pulled weapons on the cops. They pointed weapons at the police officers, wouldn't leave. Can you imagine if cops went into the middle of anything, a party, a gathering of black people, and the black people pulled weapons on them, and Hannity had them on the program and said, good job, way to pull the weapons on the cops and tell them you're not going anywhere, you got Second Amendment rights. That's what he told Bundy. What an unbelievable hypocrite. Okay, it only gets worse, doesn't get better. Now we're going to go to a Texas radio host, God help us. His name is Michael Berry. Let's watch.
Let me suggest that for the people who end up getting in fights with the cops, shut your mouth. Let me ask you, how many among you would put on a badge and a police uniform today? How many of you would put on a badge, a police uniform, and be the first to respond by yourself to a crowd of teenagers, amped up? Watch them. Man, they're screaming, you know, get out of here. Who are you? You don't know what you get out. You get, who are you? I mean, you can't do that. No, man, we gonna get you. You bet. I mean, you're talking about like jungle animals. I mean, this is wild, crazy, out of control.
Jungle animals. What racism in America? No. They're all wild and crazy, yelling, we're going to get you. No one yelled, we're going to get you. He made that up. We watched the whole tape. We showed you the whole tape yesterday. Nobody yelled that. That's a lie. Who would go by themselves? Well, he didn't go by himself. He had two other cops there on the tape, and more cops arrived later. So where's the by yourself part? Who would go into a gang of teenagers? I would. He said, who would put on a badge and have all the weaponry and go in the middle of teenagers? I'd go in the middle of white teenagers, black teenagers, Asian teenagers. They're at a pool party. But no. When you're black, you're always dangerous. And if you're white, you don't have to listen to cops. You can pull weapons on them, okay? But if you're black, just shut up and know your role, you jungle animal. Is this clear enough yet? No, it's still not clear? Okay, more from Michael Berry.
He showed up to people, and yes, they're probably white people, scared to death, peeking through the blinds. Oh, my God, there's a bunch of black people, and they're out on the streets, and they're fighting and carrying out, and they're playing that music from Jay-Z, and they're scared to death. That's who his bosses are. He's there to keep the peace in his community. But a little bit of advice to those punks. When the cops show up, they're outnumbered. They have to take control of the situation. The best thing you can do is get down, keep your mouth shut, and let order get restored first. Just comply. For that moment, just comply.
Punks. The people who started the fight, according to almost every witness on the scene, in fact, the women who started it haven't said anything, so according to every witness on the scene, were the white women adults who started the fight, saying that, hey, you belong in public housing, why don't you get out of here? The person who's hosting that pool party for the African-American teachers, actually mixed-race teenagers, was a person from that community. But no. She's not the boss of the... She's 19 years old, presumably pays taxes, her family pays taxes, but she's not the boss of the cop. Did you hear what he said? No. The white people are the boss of the cop, and he's doing what he's supposed to do, come in and attack the black people that he sees. Okay? I mean, they sound like jungle animals, and they're all punks. Did you ever go to a pool party when you were a teenager? I did. Nobody ever came in charging at us. And I got into fights. Believe me, I got into plenty of fights when I was a kid, right? Nobody came charging at me, calling me punks, pulling guns on me, right? Because we were kids. But if you're black, you're not a kid. By the way, you see this throughout all the conservatives talk. Well, you know, I mean, are they really kids? Megyn Kelly said, well, I don't know that the cop could have told us she was 14 or 15, right? You can't tell that. Well, actually, they've done studies on this, one that was released by a respected journal in psychology just last year, explaining that people on average see black kids over 4 years older than they actually are. If you present to them white kids, Latino kids, and white kids and say, are these felons? So you give them that context, okay? College students, on average, say that black kids are 4.5 years older than they actually are, okay? Way outpacing white and Latino kids, okay? You know who sees, the only people who see them older than the college kids do? Cops. Cops see the black kids as 4.6 years older than they actually are. They start to view them as guilty at the age of 10. Before then, well, are they not merciful? They say, well, it's a kid, I'm not sure he knows what he's doing. But for black kids at the age of 10, yeah, looks like an adult, knows what he's doing, gotta go. Punks, right? Okay, we're not done yet. Now, we go on to CNN, okay? And they're not crazy conservative talk show hosts in Texas like Barry. They're not Fox News. But they've got their analyst, this guy, legal analyst, Paul Callan. Luckily, at least the host, Allison Camaretto, is a little outraged here. But listen to what Callan has to say.
The final thing that you were talking about, the unholstering of the gun, the cops' actions were totally inappropriate up until that moment, but he's now effecting the arrest of the girl in the bikini. Probably he shouldn't be arresting her, but he is. But he is. He's surrounded then by 8 civilians, I count them. One kid comes around and looks like he's approaching him and is going to jump the officer.
No, not jump the officer. He's defending his friend. I mean, when they see this girl thrown to the ground, it's just, I think, a natural reaction to want to go defend your friend.
This is a cop. Of course it's a natural reaction, but from the cop's standpoint, he's looking at this big kid who he thinks is about to jump him.
Big kid. I mean, he's black. He looks really big, right? And he's about to jump him. And several different times they talk about how people are coming from behind. You'll see someone else talking about people coming from. You saw the video. They come from. The girl gets thrown on the ground. They go, whoa, what is that? And they approach the cop from the front. Okay. Now at that point, the cop wants to protect himself and make sure that those kids don't hit him. I got it, right? Pulling a gun is a whole different matter. And they didn't get him from behind. They didn't shank him. They didn't have any weapons. They weren't punks. They weren't thugs. They were in bikinis. They were at a pool party. Never innocent enough. Now, all of this, we're going to add a little bit of insult to injury. We're going to bring on David Webb on Fox News. He's an African-American that they bring on Fox News to yell at other African-Americans. He's about to say several preposterous things, but one thing is way over the top. Let's watch.
Response was inappropriate given the amount of information they had when they got on scene. But I also see that there are white people standing, in the same situation.
There are not Marjorie, at all. I don't know how you get race necessarily out of even the phrase.
Well, we don't know. I mean, it may be true that people were saying what Marjorie's saying, and if that is true,
but it doesn't. But Martha, it doesn't necessarily connote race to say go back to Section 8 housing. The problem we have here is you have a majority black crowd, which means if the majority of people are being unruly, most of them are black who are being unruly. They're not picking out initially, let's go after that black person or that white person.
Here's the other parts of the video. You also see them taking black young men, pushing them on the ground, arresting them, saying that they need to stay put.
Does that mean race?
Why wouldn't it when you have white people with it?
Prove to me that taking someone and putting them down because the color of their skin connotes and equates to racism automatically.
I think if these kids had all been white, and the police officers would have done the exact same thing to them.
Yeah, of course they would have. Yeah, I mean, they come busting into white pool parties all the time, cracking skulls. I mean, you see that all over America. It's nearly an epidemic. And then Webb, the apologist here, I am straining myself not to call him further words, says, I don't know, all the ones that were unruly were black. Of course they had to target the blacks. I mean, that's my job, is I get paid here at Fox News to come out here and say it's always the blacks' fault. And so, oh, well, referring to them going back to Section 8 housing, I mean, that's not necessarily racial. Yeah, when you directed at the black kids, no, probably not racial. Who in their right mind thinks that? Come on. How about when, according to one of the witnesses, the women called them black fuckers? I mean, what do they mean by black fuckers? I don't know. Probably not racial. No, let's bring on Jim Webb. He's David Webb. He is African-American. Here he is. He's black. And he says we're always right. So we must be right. Okay. So let's go to the guy who taped it. He's actually a young white kid. He might have an interesting perspective on whether they were targeting blacks or whites. He was there, right? So let's listen.
And the cops showed up, and the parents immediately started yelling, "Oh, you need more cops, there's too many of them." And most of the kids weren't even involved. It was a fight between a mom and a girl, which had nothing to do with all those other kids that she apparently needed more cops for.
It seemed to me, now, I don't know that this is true or not, but it seemed to me like the officers were going for the African-American kids.
That I do feel that that is true, because I was one of the only white people in the area when that was happening, and you can see in part of the video where he tells us to sit down, and he kind of like skips over me and tells all my African-American friends to go sit down.
You know, you see the officer throw that little girl down, that 14-year-old girl down, and put all this weight on her.
Yes.
What'd you think about that, man?
I thought that was very uncalled for. I mean, all she was doing was talking to her friends about the situation, and I think she might have, she was quote-unquote running her mouth, and I mean, she has freedom of speech, and that was very uncalled for to throw her to the ground. When he pulled his gun, my heart dropped as soon as he pulled out his gun. I thought he was going to shoot that kid, and I didn't. That was very scary.
You know, do you think that the mob or the party people, the people that were there were out of control? Do you think that they
Not
were
at all. I think that there were a bunch of kids having fun on the last day of school. I mean, it was a party. We were having fun. The parents said that we were like cursing at them and stuff, which that never happened at all. And they kept on giving us a hard time. I think it's personally because there was a bunch of African Americans in that neighborhood who all came to the pool on the same day.
Right.
So they probably thought they weren't from there or something. And
do you think that they have an issue with black folks being over there?
Yeah, and like you can see in the my YouTube video in the comments section, there's so many racial discriminations against black people in there.
That's Brandon Brooks. I mean, what a great kid. First, it's great that he was able to tape it. Otherwise, you know what would have happened afterwards. Oh, no, the black people are making it up. No, of course, they were attacking the cop. The cop had to defend himself. The poor guy, right? Except we got it on tape, so they can't use that usual BS defense, right? So thank God he taped it. And if you notice, Brandon Brooks says, like, we were at the party. We were having a good time. We were celebrating. He was at the pool party. He was with the African-American kids, and by the way, there was also apparently Latino kids, Arab kids, etc. It was a mixed party. But as Brandon Brooks himself just said, as you heard it there, he's like, no, the cops just skipped right over me. It's like he was invisible, right? Ironic twist on the invisible man, right? So like, oh, I'm going to go throw people down. Okay, you, guy, you. And he said everybody that was brought down by the cops was either Latino, black, or Arab kid. All the white kids just standing there, invisible. No, probably not racial. No, David Webb and Fox News probably got it right. Nothing to do with the race, right? And he's such a good kid, man. He said, look, man, when that guy pulled a gun, some of the people in the community were like, yeah, way to pull the gun. In fact, I'm going to show you one of those people right now. He said, my heart dropped. I thought he was going to shoot that kid, right? Isn't that the human reaction? Isn't that the right reaction? But no. Look at some people in the community. Now, she wanted to hide her face. She's talking to a local reporter here, saying, bravo. Even further about the McKinney police. Now, her glasses grate on me, and it's a minor point as you watch the video, but also look at the reporters' reactions, which are interesting as well. Listen to this.
I want everyone to know that that police officer, along with everyone else, they were completely in the right and protecting everyone. He was not out of line. I completely support him drawing his weapon or a taser or whatever it was that he did pull because he was being attacked from behind. I believe that if your life is threatened, that you have every right to pull a gun. He probably didn't intend on using it. I feel horrible for McKinney PD and the backlash that they're getting for this. They are here to protect and serve. They were doing their jobs. I think he deserves a medal for what he did. I really do. I don't believe he was out of line one bit. Those kids were taunting them and cursing them out, have no respect for authority, and as soon as their parents got here, they didn't even care one bit about how they were treating the officers and why they got into that situation.
I mean, it's almost like a caricature. She's got the fancy glasses on. She doesn't want to be on camera because, you know, she knows what she's saying is hideous. Otherwise, why not be proud and just go on camera? Oh, no, you know, the black people will attack me. You know how it is. She's got to get a nice glass on. She's like, oh, my God, I feel horrible. Oh, good. Oh, you have some human feelings. No, I feel horrible for the cops who were slamming the kids onto the ground. I can't believe they got criticized. Oh, my God, they should be given a medal instead. Attacked from behind. He wasn't attacked from behind. What are you, blind? We all saw the video together. He was not attacked from behind, right? No, his life was in danger. How can you look at that video and think that guy's life was in danger? You see what you want to see. So when they see the black kids, they see thugs and punks who are dangerous, who might have shanks, who endanger them, who endanger that beloved white community there, right? And again, don't blame all the white people there. Look, Brandon Brooks is white. There was a lot of white kids at the party, okay? The younger generation gets it, man. Not universally, but much more so than the older generation. Almost all the people causing the problem in McKinney, Texas are older, okay? Not in their 70s, 80s. I'm not talking about a Fox News audience, but so-called adults who are like, yeah, way to go, McKinney, police, you deserve to get medals. Slam those black kids into the ground. In fact, one of the people who started the whole mess was a white woman, adult, who started the fight, threw the first punch, the one who used the racial insults in the first place, and then started the physical altercation. None of them are in trouble. Nobody's looking into them. There's no investigation. They're all perfectly upstanding citizens who are the boss of the police, according to the conservative hosts. And the people who pose the danger are the kids who were attacked.